Welcome to the Bradenton Times Candidate Focus 2010. In the interest of informing voters, we've invited all local candidates to come on and discuss the major issues in their race. While not all candidates were able to participate and others chose not to, each candidate was invited and afforded the opportunity to speak. Our interviews today do not imply an endorsement of any candidate or specific viewpoint, but are merely intended to provide information to the public. Joining me now is Dave Watchdog Minor, who is running for the Florida District 68 House here in Florida this election day coming up on November 2nd. And Dave, thanks for being with us today. How are you?
Oh, Doug, thank you very much for having me.
We had a chance to talk on the phone last week, and the Watchdog has kind of been your nickname for a while. How did you get that?
Well, for many years, I have been called Watchdog because during my service to the community, it has involved standing up for the people at various venues such as the school board, the county commission. I've even been asked to testify before the Senate Education Committee, and they recognize that I'm a person who is interested in protecting the public, serving the public, and so the people started calling me Watchdog in the press, and also when I go shopping, they say, "Hey, Watchdog." And
It's
so
not the Watchdog, it's Watchdog.
Watchdog.
There you go.
But it's I've sort of earned a reputation as being the watchdog, for the public, and even the Bradenton Herald, it's kind of your competition, has said that
We've heard of them.
Yeah, they sell a few fish wrappers, I guess, and they've alluded to me as the watchdog, the kind of watchdog that every community needs, and so it sort of stuck, and that's why on the ballot I'm the only watchdog. It says Dave Watchdog Minor.
It's officially on the ballot as part of your name.
Yes, I am officially recognized as the watchdog.
Was that interesting how you got that on there? Was that any problem at all? Or?
No.
I've never seen another candidate that had the nickname on. That's interesting.
It is interesting. In fact, one paper over on the East Coast awarded me the most original nickname on the ballot ever, I guess. I think it was one of the Palm Beach papers. And people can read that article on my website. It's www.davewatchdogminor.org, O-R-G. So,
yeah, we'll give a chance to give that out a little bit later on as well. But just go over some of your background. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
How long have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing law since 1974, and I've had my own practice. I've had my own business for over 32 years. A successful business is quite a little bit different starting your own business and maintaining successfully a business. And I think that's helped me become a good candidate for the people to select, because I appreciate the needs of small business and taxes and regulations and having to meet a payroll and dealing with all that comes with having a business.
How long have you been down here in the Bradenton area?
Oh, I've been here since 75.
75.
And in 75, 76, I was a prosecutor, the resident assistant state attorney for DeSoto County, and that involved all aspects of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And so I've had some experience putting criminals in jail and helping victims, and I appreciate the need for supporting law enforcement and the need for assisting victims. And then I was an assistant county attorney here in Manatee County. And then I opened my own practice in 1978. So that's why I say over 32 years successfully maintaining my own business.
And you've also, I understand, did some work in the cable television industry, because that's where we are at a cable station today. You have some background in that as well?
Yes, I do. I was chairman of the Cable Television Advisory Board. And there were a lot of people who can share in the credit, but I was chairman and led the drive to establish the METV and the services for serving the county commission. We thought it was very important that the people of Manatee County have available to them televised school board meetings and county commission meetings, and it was quite an experience for several years. And I take some pride in helping bring that transparency of our government to the people of Manatee County.
You should feel comfortable here then.
Yes,
this is your home.
Well, I have a lot. I have a lot of ties to this. In fact, the building here, I've been known for being an advocate for transparency, and not just an advocate, but I've been designated by the First Amendment Foundation as one of the members of the Sunshine Brigade. And this building and the property we're at was subject to a dispute that I felt the people of Manatee County should have available to them the appraisals purchased by the school board of Manatee County regarding the value of this property before they wrote out a check for something like $17 million. And, well, it wasn't being provided to us, but I filed a lawsuit to have that transparency, and we finally did get the appraisals. But, you know, that's how strongly I believe that the people should have a right to know where their money is going. And one of the things I intend to do in Tallahassee is to file a bill saying that each department and agency of the state government should put on its website, you know, their check register, where is the money going, and also explain what the people are doing and how much they're paid, you know, their salary and their compensation. It's our money. We should know it, and that, I think, will help reduce the waste that we have if people up there know that everybody in the state can be an auditor and know where the money is going.
Would that be encompassed under the Sunshine Law, or would it be a separate, separate law?
Well, it's in the Sunshine spirit. Mm-hmm. You know, we're the Sunshine State. All expenditures of money should be in the sunshine. Right. And that's part of my platform of trying to open up the government so we avoid the waste, get away from the status quo. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my opponent's a nice guy, but, you know, he is for the status quo. And he's supported by those who want the status quo. And I don't feel that way. I think that the way government's been run up there with the waste, you read about the over $50 million courthouse that they built up there for the First District Court of Appeals, and you hear about former Speaker Sampson's airport hangar for special people, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And the people deserve better. We deserve to have everything out, laid on the table, and we need to change the rules so that they don't go about having amendments in the last day of the session to bills that throw away turkeys to people that really don't benefit people of Florida, and particularly, you know, are harmful. It's taking money from us, you know, the taxpayers. It's time to have a candidate up there who is going to speak out for transparency, act for transparency, you know, for the people. And that's one of the reasons why I became a candidate. We need to have some change. And I've certainly earned a reputation as not being a go-along to get-along guy. And that's why one of our slogans is Watchdog, not lapdog.
Your eyes are on everybody.
That's right. We need that. And people have been urging me for over a year to get into it, saying we need a watchdog looking out for us in Tallahassee. We need you, Dave. And I was really kind of reluctant to do that, but at the last minute, actually after my opponent had asked for endorsement and talked about some issues, and I just couldn't give him my endorsement, and I felt compelled, you know, to get into this, you know, so that we would have someone up there who would be a watchdog, who would challenge and bring about substantive change. And it's not just the challenge, but I have a record of bringing about things in Manatee County of substantive change. And I'm talking about when I was president of Manatee Children's Services, right, you know, to help bring the first child abuse prevention services to Manatee County. And the first time that Manatee County gave money, you know, to help children was when Manatee Children's Services, while I was president, I went before the Board of County Commissioners and then said, we need to invest in our children. Mm-hmm. And that was a real change of attitude. Now we have the children's tax and all that. And having this cable television, you know, these are real changes. And there's been a lot of, I'm probably known most for now for going before the school board and asking for reforms and things that have resulted in part, right, you know, from my advocacy is providing the public with agendas, putting it on the website, and also the documentation. And it takes a while to do it, but we got it done. And persistence is almost another middle name that I have. And it's successful for the people. I don't get paid for it, but that's the kind of attitude and action we need to bring to Tallahassee, and it needs it badly.
Now, you're not running under any party affiliation.
Nope.
Is that something that concerns you for the voting public? Or?
Nope. I'm a no-party affiliate. It's NPA on the ballot. I will tell you that most of my life, really virtually all my life, I've been a registered Republican. I'm still a registered Republican. But to get in this in a successful manner, and I got into the last minute, I had to register as an NPA. I'm a great believer in local government. While it seems like a lot of Republicans, and in fact my opponent, you know, want to push responsibility up to another level. I believe greatly in the local government, and I'm very opposed to all these unfunded mandates that the status quo people have. They like to take credit, or they do. They say, well, they passed a program and say we did these great things for the public, and then they say the local government's supposed to impose the taxes to do that. And that, to me, is, that's a scam. We need to stop that.
And just for those people may not be aware, this is for a open seat. Bill Galvano is term limited.
Yes.
Your opponent, Jim Boyd, is on the Republican ticket, just so people...
Yes, there's no Democrat.
Right, no Democrat running this year.
It's Mr. Boyd and me. And Mr. Boyd is a nice person, no mistaking about that. And he gets along with a lot of folks. In terms of being an advocate for change and bringing about change, I think people want that, and I'm that candidate.
We'll get to some of the issues in a moment, but I just want to ask you mentioned before in an earlier answer, people want change. People are upset all across the country. Many are with government, whatever party you're with.
Justifiably so.
Do you sense that in this particular campaign?
Oh, yes. Out talking with people, they come up with all sorts of excuses. And here in Florida, it's been particularly hit hard. And the legislature, the leadership that we have up there has to accept, although they are not willing to, part of the responsibility. And it's that leadership that's supporting Mr. Boyd. They're not evil people, right, but they haven't been serving us well. And we need to have that challenged. And they need to have someone who has the guts, who has the ability, has the experience of standing up for reform, for the people. And that's one of the things Vin Maddox, the Bradenton Herald, once said, Dave, Watchdog miners on the side of the people. And that's where I'm at. I'm not, if you look at the funding of campaigns, my opponent's really cornered the special interest, seems like from A to Z, and that's not me.
Has that been a challenge for you, raising money? I
haven't raised much money, but I've got it from a lot of fine people, including Bob Goss of the school board, Karen Carpenter, who's just been elected, and they're reform people too. And if you want reform, it's time to go in there and cast the ballot for Dave Watchdog Miner.
Talk about some of the issues that people are concerned about. The big one, obviously, that happened this past summer is the oil spill in the Gulf. Your thoughts on offshore drilling? Should it be continued, or what do you think? Well,
that's where we have a major difference, Mr. Boyd and I. I think that the Dean Cannon and Mike Herodopoulos, Dean Cannon's the Speaker of the House, and Mike Herodopoulos, the President of the Senate, they had hearings, to have oil derricks right off our beaches, and they seemed to think it was a great thing. But on April 20th, when the Deepwater Horizon happened, well, then it wasn't politically acceptable to them. But I have felt for a long time, until it's established that it's really safe, we shouldn't be doing it either in Florida waters, which are it varies, but at most 9 miles. Usually it's a 3-mile limit where Florida has any jurisdiction. And because Dean Cannon and Mike Herodopoulos were having this hearing, Governor Chris said, well, maybe we ought to ensure the safety of our beaches, the safety of our economy that's so affected by an oil spill. And to put it right into the Constitution. And I felt that was a wise measure. Unfortunately, the legislature adjourned without even taking it up, and I was disappointed that Bill Galvano was the one who kind of pulled the trigger on not even letting the House vote. I am in favor of allowing the people of the state of Florida to decide that issue. My opponent...
A referendum type of vote?
Yeah, yes, well, to put it in the Constitution. I have faith in the wisdom of the Florida people. My opponent doesn't. He opposed having this put on the ballot as a constitutional amendment. Of course, I think I'm right. I think the people should decide that. He said, well, you don't want to gum up the Constitution because it's sacred. Well, I think our beaches, our economy is sacred too. And I think we need to protect it from his supporters, Dean Cannon and Mike Herodopoulos, who seem to be more influenced by all the money coming from oil companies into their coffers and into the Republican Party than what really is in the best interest of Florida. And I wish that my opponent would see the light and change his position on that too.
And that kind of goes into the next topic,
Yeah.
similar topic, energy policy. Obviously, you live in the Sunshine State. Solar energy
Yes, we do.
has been thought about. Obviously, eventually, we're going to have to get off oil. I think everybody kind of agrees with that. But in the meantime, you need oil. But do you propose any plans for looking at other sources of energy?
Sure. Unfortunately, Florida does not have an energy policy. The legislature, those in the status quo, that, again, support my opponent, and he supports them, have not developed, will not develop an energy policy. And I think the people of Florida deserve to have something that lays out that we are going to be dedicated to to have renewable energy sources that are going to meet the energy needs of the state of Florida. We need to provide tax abatements and credits for those who have the desire to have solar energy, wind energy, wave energy. We've really neglected that. What the legislature and the leadership did when they did provide some, this was actually federal funds, then they held it up. Good people went out and bought efficient air conditioners and things like that. Then Dean Cannon and the legislative leaders said, oh, we don't think we are allowed to disperse this money, even though people bought these things on good faith. To me, that's a scam. And we've got to stop this lying and misrepresentation that's been going on in our legislature. We need somebody to go up there and say, we need to change the rules. We need to be responsible to the people. We haven't had that.
Let's talk about another issue that has really concerned a lot of Floridians, the prescription of drug facilities. There was a law passed, I think it went into effect earlier this week as we taped this, where the pill mills, so-called pill mills. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm very glad that we do have some reform along that line. And these pill mills are real poison on our society. I have a friend, client who was talking just a couple days ago about her son who's really hooked on this oxycodone, and it just breaks her heart. And that we have in the past allowed these things to spring up, seems like all over the place. It's just a shame. It just shows a lack of leadership. I will give credit to the legislature for coming up and addressing in part these needs, that any clinic of this sort has to be owned by a licensed physician. So we have a little bit of leverage there, and limitations on the amount that actually can be dispersed. But I think we ought to continue efforts to make sure that really we ought to rid these from our society. What I have to ask, and I think the legislature needs to ask, what is there that someone in pain could not go to a regular doctor to get? Why not? They don't need these things that specialize in just doting out addictive drugs. We don't need that. And I think further steps, and I will introduce legislation to say, this just isn't going to happen. We don't need this in District 68.
You think more should be done?
More should be done, absolutely. Well, too many hearts have been broken by this pushing prescription drugs.
Kind of goes to the next topic. Uninsured Floridians, I mean, that's a big issue for many people. They've lost their jobs, many people. Insurance through the workplace, so maybe they can't afford it now. Any thoughts you have about how you can help that in the legislature?
Well, we had what I call a scam, and that was providing, I forget the name right now, that was kind of a limited amount of health insurance for a limited amount of cost, and it was trumpeted by Governor Christ and legislative leaders that we are providing this low-cost health insurance for all Floridians. Well, to me, it was another political scam by legislative leaders as well as the governor, because it really didn't provide insurance, and it was low cost.
Very high deductibles, I understand. On that.
Oh, that's one reason why there was only about 3,000 policies in all of Florida sold. It was a political scam. It was their way of saying, well, we're addressing this issue, when really they were undressing the public. Where it's going to come, and people can criticize Obamacare or whatever they want, but within 2 years, there will be an insurance exchange where people can buy insurance within their means. The low-income people will be subsidized in being provided insurance, and there will be unlimited coverage. That is, there won't be like $100,000 or $1 million lifetime coverage, but it will be unlimited, and that will provide health insurance, for the many people that we don't have, and that will be helpful, to not only the patients. It will be helpful to the hospitals, the doctors who need that income to maintain their practices and maintain their openings, and for all the criticism of federal insurance, Florida hasn't been doing the job in providing insurance, and this will be helpful to us.
Jobs, obviously, people are concerned about that. Creation of jobs.
Absolutely.
As a legislator, what can you do immediately to try and help that?
That's a #1 priority to me. I think we need to have legislators up there focusing on providing jobs for District 68 instead of focusing on what their next job is going to be or how they're going to improve their status and sucking up to the leadership or whatever. And one of the things for Manatee County is to provide more and fairer funding for our technical institute, Manatee MTI, Manatee Technical Institute, where we have been shortchanged in this year about $5 million for what we provide to the public, and for what we give, we are being shortchanged. And this has been going on for years, and that's another problem with our leadership that hasn't been fighting to make sure that we are treated with the respect that we should have. The importance of that is getting that money and providing training for what we know are available jobs helps everybody, not just the worker, but it has a ripple effect in the economy. We need to be doing more of that, and not just for Manatee County. We need to be fairer. Right now, the funding for workforce education has the formula has a discouraging effect upon doing a good job. And Doug Wagner and other people out there who are working on workforce training deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, but they need more money to do the job that we need to have done here. We need to, in addition to that, we need to have abatements and tax credits for industry being here, and we really haven't done much. And why haven't they done it? Well, they're more interested in maintaining the status quo and the power of status quo than getting the job done for the people of Florida.
Dave, we're down to about 2 minutes before we have to wrap this up. I'd like to give you an opportunity, a couple of minutes, to leave a message for the voters on November 2nd. Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I would. And people on November 2nd, you're going to have a choice between the status quo, a nice guy, go along to get along, or someone who has a record of providing substantive change to making the community a better place. I've alluded to in my earlier comments about bringing the first child abuse prevention services to Manatee County. Talked about bringing the televising of school board meetings, of county commission meetings. There have been other things too that I've been involved with over the years, including being an advocate for the public before the school board and the county commission. If you want to have someone who's going to be a watchdog for you in Tallahassee, who's going to be an advocate for you, then I think it's time you have somebody who maybe is a little bit older. I am a Vietnam Marine, but I think if somebody has gone to Vietnam and been able to come back successfully, I think that you can bet that I will be able to do that job for you. By the way, I'm the only veteran in this race, and there hasn't been a veteran representing District 68 for almost 30 years. I think it's time we had one, and it's time to have someone who's really going to be a watchdog for us in District 68. I thank you. Thank you for your vote. Get your friends out. We can get the job done to make this a better place. Thank you very much.
Dave, appreciate you joining us today.
Doug,
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Great, and thank you for joining us for the Bradenton Times Candidate Focus 2010. We'd like to thank all of our participating candidates and remind viewers that although some candidates could not or chose not to participate in this series, all were invited. The Bradenton Times and METV do not endorse any specific candidates or views, but we do encourage you to get out there and vote on November 2nd. I'm Doug Miles. Thanks for watching.
Doug, thank you.
Great, thanks.